Hey, so I bought a 2019 Nissan 370Z. I loved everything about the car except the exhaust. So this Z, according to the build sheet, was built in 2018 with pretty much everything. Whoever ordered it went down the left side of the column on the build and selected every option. So this is supposed to be the Nismo Tech, a sport touring coupe with Nismo Tech. There's not much on this car that it doesn't have. It has the lighted door sills. It has the Z carpeting. Yeah, like I said, they just went down and checked every box. But what I don't understand is if you pay the extra money for the Nismo exhaust, why would you cut it up? So that's what somebody did to this car is they cut up the Nismo exhaust, they left the resonators, they got rid of the muffler, and the car is very, very loud now. So what I decided to do was put the Invidia kit on this one. So there you go. You see the inside, the interior. It looks like pretty much every touring coupe. And it's loud. So the underside of it, you see where they just took regular muffler pipe and affixed it to the underside of the car to get rid of that muffler. And up at the front where it comes off of the catalytic converters, they cut the pipe there as well and pushed the resonators back. They did a pretty good job because everything lined up. So here's my Invidia exhaust. And as I'm replacing the exhaust, I'm also going to drain the automatic transmission fluid. So the first thing you're going to do is replace or remove the 14 millimeter nuts that hold the exhaust onto the catalytic converters. I would suggest spraying these with WD-40, or there's a product out there, if you Google it, it's called Free All. It will really break through any corrosion that's on these studs and allow you to get these bolts off a lot easier. These bolts were really tight. But once I got them broke free and got them off, this exhaust came off very quickly, as you'll see in this video. You see this transmission fluid dripping here. Nissan says this is a sealed system. I personally would say you probably need to change your fluid every 30,000 miles. Forget what Nissan says. After 30,000 miles on this car, the fluid is a deep dark brown color. Not pretty, not pink like the Nissan Matic S that I put back into the transmission. When I drained the transmission and pulled the pan, I removed right at 5 quarts of fluid. I put 6 quarts back in. I put 5 quarts back in. And once I got the car up to temperature, I pulled the 5 millimeter head plug to check my fluid level, and nothing came out. So I took an additional quart of Matic S and I pumped that into the little hole that you check your fluid with. I pumped that entire quart in, and then I let it drain out until no more fluid came out of the car. And then I put the plug back in and turned it off. The transmission drives and shifts perfectly now. It is so smooth again, like it probably was when the car was new. So if you're considering replacing your automatic transmission fluid, I'm going to say do it. You definitely need to do it. All right, at the back of the car, we're going to remove the bolts that hold the hanger on. There's 3 on each side. Like I told you earlier, my car does not have muffler, so yours is going to be different. I would say for you, remove the 4 flange nuts on your exhaust and then remove your hangers and let your muffler drop down into your chest and slide out from under the car. But for me, I can do one side at a time. I just took out the 3 12mm bolts on the back, and there's a 12mm nut up in front of the differential. Right here where I'm at on the right hand side of the car is where that 12mm nut is. And you just remove that nut, and then those 3 12mm bolts at the back of the car, and the 14mm nut that hold the pipe onto the catalytic converter, and then your exhaust will slide out. But like I said, you'll have a muffler. Once you get that muffler out of the way, and possibly I would remove the muffler on your car first before going to the front of the car. Once that muffler's out of your way, the mid pipes and the resonators come off pretty easy. And you probably also have a flange where the pipe comes off the catalytic converter and goes to the mid pipe. But my car doesn't have all that. Your exhaust may come off easier than mine. But either way, once you get your old exhaust stripped out from under the car, the new exhaust goes in so much easier. The Invidia exhaust is really well thought out and easy to install. Alright, now that this is almost gone, we can start putting our new exhaust system together. So what I did was laid out all the pieces for the Invidia exhaust on the floor of my garage next to the car. And I started with the right side, then the left side. And when I put the pieces together, I only tightened the bolts down hand tight. I didn't crank it down with the wrench. Next, the X pipe went on. Once the X pipe was into place, then I started with the mid pipe that connects the X pipe to the muffler. I did go out and buy new exhaust hangers. I thought red would be cool. I bought 4 of them. However, you're only going to need 2 of this kind. You can also reuse the stock hangers that came with your car. It's not like these wear out. I was just thinking that red would look cool under the car. Unfortunately, it's a different type of hanger that hangs the muffler on the back of the car. So I wasn't able to use these on the back. And trust me, it's easier to put these hangers on with the pipes outside of the car. Don't do this underneath the car. There's just not enough room. So with these rubber hangers in place, you're going to want to attach your brackets that mount the exhaust to the car. So these are the brackets that came off the exhaust in front of the differential. And they just slide on. So much easier to do this before you get underneath the car. So when you get underneath the car, all you have to do is throw this into place and put the bolts in. So here's one set up underneath the car. There's my red hanger. Looks good. All is well. We'll do the left side, and then we can start working on our muffler. So this comes in a box that weighs 70 pounds. And of course, the geniuses at UPS threw my box down somewhere. And this pipe punched a hole through the side of the box and dented the pipe. But they didn't take responsibility for it, of course. They still delivered a damaged package to me. So that was awfully nice of them. I bought my exhaust system off of Amazon from a Subaru dealership in Colorado. I think it was called Hubert Subaru. They could care less that my pipe was damaged. So if you're out on Amazon buying this system, I might suggest you purchase from a different Amazon vendor, because the Subaru dealer just doesn't care. So anyway, so as you can see, the rubber, the black rubber piece, the hanger, is different for this pipe. So install those before you get under the car. Another issue I had with my system was 2 of the nuts were the wrong size. So with all the hardware that came with my system, 2 of the nuts did not fit on the bolts. All the bolts were the same, but 2 of the nuts were a different size. Fortunately, I have a bunch of spare nuts laying around from motorcycles, and I just grabbed a couple lock nuts off of a Suzuki, and I'm going to hide those under the car so nobody can see them. So now we're up under the car, and we've got the exhaust hung into place, and now it's time to install our exhaust tip. So at this point, I've got the exhaust installed. All my bolts that connect all the flanges together are tightened down. And this exhaust tip is the last piece to put on. I put the clamp for my exhaust tips at the top. It's a little bit more difficult to get to it, but it's easy enough to get to it with a deep well socket. And as you can see, my pipe is still a little bit out of round. So I'm going to need to get my BFH out and finesse this pipe a little bit more. And then once I get it to where it's pretty close to being round, I'll be able to slide that exhaust tip onto this pipe. I hope for your sake that you get lucky and UPS doesn't drop your box. They probably dropped my box 15 times before it ever made it here. So once it lines up, I'm having a hard time, so you're not going to have the issue that I have where I need to get a dead blow hammer and pound my exhaust tip on. You're not going to have that issue. You see my other side went on just fine. I just wanted to video this side so I could let you see what happens if it gets damaged in shipping. So once your pipe is on, you want to line it up. On the side of the tip is the Invidia logo. You want to make sure that that's horizontal to the ground. It's on both sides, so you can look at it and make sure that you have it horizontal to the ground. That way when you lower your car, your pipe looks proper. It's not pointing in the wrong direction. and then you want to get this clamp as tight as you can get it without breaking the clamp. That way your exhaust tip isn't flying off the car when you're going 100 miles an hour down the highway. So you hear the exhaust note. It's completely different exhaust note. It's got a beautiful rumble to it. The exhaust that was on this car was more raspy. I'm not sure why they changed the exhaust. The build sheet for this car said that it had the Nismo exhaust when it left Japan. I'm going to assume that they took the Nismo exhaust off the car and decided to go this route. I don't know who in their right mind would rather have straight pipes over the Nismo exhaust. The Nismo exhaust sounds pretty good. The Invidia exhaust sounds amazing. It's got a deep rumble to it when you start it up, and here's when you take off. It sounds even better when you get on it and you go 0 to 60. It sounds real good. So that's my exhaust video. I hope it helps you make the decision to buy your own Invidia exhaust and put it on your 370Z. I know you will enjoy it. Thanks for watching.